Hello students, welcome to the lecture on presentation, and after the lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain the presentation skills, understand the tools and techniques of effective presentation, discuss the types of presentation, explain the styles of presentation, understand the body language. Let us begin with a brief introduction to presentation. Presentations and reports are ways of communicating ideas and information to a group. Orderly presentation of the results of the research which seeks truth and interprets facts into constructive ideas and suggestions. A report is normally built on research that finds, develops or substantiates knowledge. Once all the facts are collected, they are then organized and presented in a report designed to meet a need for specific information. The voice is probably the most valuable tool of the presenter. It carries most of the content that the audience takes away. One of the oddities of speech is that we can easily tell others what is wrong with their voice, example, too fast, too high, too soft, etc. But we have trouble listening to and changing our own voices. Body communicates different impression to the audience. People not only listen to you, they also watch you. Slouching tells them we are indifferent or we do not care even though we might care a great deal. On the other hand, displaying good postures tells our audience that we know what we are doing and we care deeply about it. Also, a good posture helps you to speak more clearly and effective. The main enemy of presenter is tension, which ruins the voice, postures and spontaneity. Now, let us discuss the presentation skills. To really succeed at presenting and build up effective presentation skills, there are several key areas that we need to become skilled in. And once we have mastered these skills, we will be able to create a presentation with a clear message and deliver it with confidence. These key skills areas are planning and writing the presentation, using visual aids effectively, overcoming presentation nerves, delivering the presentation confidently, answering questions competently. Skills for planning and writing the presentation. Planning the presentation involves much of the work that you are going to do before we actually deliver the presentation. This is a very important area and it is also one that many people should consider improving their skills in. A key part of this planning is to research our presentation audience, since the more we know our audience, the more we can understand them and what their preconception might be. We also need to get to the grips with the purpose of presentation so that we are very clear about what we are trying to achieve from it. Then it is down brainstorming what we are actually going to say and then structuring this into digestible chunks within the beginning, middle and the end. Using visual aids effectively. Once we have done our planning, we need to consider what visual aids we are going to be using. Think about what we want to do here, why we actually need the visual aids in the presentation and what are they going to be used for. Skill for overcoming presentation nerves. When most people, when they hear the word presentation, previously built presentation skills are often forgotten about the nerves and kick in. Skills for delivering the presentation confidently. After that, it is important to think about how you are actually going to deliver a presentation. Answering questions competently. Finally, it is important that we have the confidence to interact with audience and deal with any questions that your audience might throw at you. Now let us discuss the tools and techniques of effective presentation. Personal and professional success often depends on the ability to communicate effectively, but preparing and polishing a presentation can be stressful. Even experienced presenters are sometimes unsure about how to take their presentation skills to the next level. Here are 10 simple strategies we can use to dramatically reduce the amount of time it takes to prepare a new presentation and improve presentations. There are 10 tools of effective presentations, which are: plan your purpose. Before we create a new presentation or when we review an existing presentation, ask yourself, what is my purpose for giving this presentation? Is your goal to persuade, to inspire, to inform, to entertain? The content, stories and examples you use will be dramatically different depending on your purpose. Generally, it is difficult to have more than one central purpose, so choose carefully. Select strong supporting arguments. Make sure the body of speech consists of the strongest examples and stories that prove the central argument. Also make sure that we are not taking any leaps of logic as we try to prove our point. Write down the main ideas of presentation and list all the possible examples and stories we could use for each point. Then select the most appropriate supporting material. Put PowerPoint in its place. Have you ever experienced death by PowerPoint? While no person has actually died from this experience, too much technology is the death of your message and any chance to meet your presentation objectives. Ask yourself if you really need a visual aid. If you do, remember that there are other options available to you: flip charts, handouts, and overhead projectors. Yes, they still exist, among many others. Whatever you choose, remember to connect with the audience before engaging technology, and that PowerPoint and visual aids serve you and not vice versa. Use the magic word no, it is not, please. In presenting, the magic word is you. When you review your presentation, make your sentences more you-focused. It will automatically ensure that your comments address the audience needs. Instead of saying, I am going to tell you, say, you will learn. You will also become more conversational and connect with the audience better. Instead of saying people can improve their presentations by using the magic word, say, you can instantly improve your presentations by using the magic word. See the difference. Create commercial breaks. If you are giving a long presentation, keep the audience's attention by changing the pace at regular intervals. Audiences are easily bored when presentations continue in the same mode for too long. As with TV commercial breaks, or perhaps because of them, we expect variety. Evaluate your presentation and identify different ways to express your ideas through speaking, audience participation, visual aids, or exercise. Then sprinkle them throughout your presentation to provide commercial breaks for your audience. Begin boldly when you meet a new person. How long does it take you to form an impression? If you are like most people, it takes less than a minute. This same evaluation process happens when you are speaking. That is why you should craft a powerful, attention-grabbing opening. If you can, it is best to memorize the opening and speak without notes. And never start your speech with an apology, no matter what the circumstances. Control your conclusion. Opening is important because it sets the tone of your talk, but your close is equally, if not more, important because it is the part of the presentation that the audience remembers most. Handle any housekeeping items, next steps, question and answer sessions, or information about what is next on the agenda before you close. That way, the last thing the audience will hear are your most important points and call to action. If you can, you should memorize your closing as well. There are many types of presentations, but most presentations contests use only these four: demonstrations, illustrated talks, public speeches, impromptu speeches. Remember to check the rules for the specific contest we will be entering, as each contest will have slight variations. Demonstrations. A demonstration puts words into actions. With this type of presentation, you will show how to do something at the same time you tell how to do it. There is a finished product at the end. If you have given a successful demonstration, the audience should leave knowing how to do what you have demonstrated. Examples of demonstrations are how to braid hair, how to clean tack, how to sew on button, how to pot a plant, how to groom a show calf. A demonstration is usually the easiest type of presentation to do. It often has a step-by-step process that makes planning and organizing simple. The hardest part may be to remember to keep talking while you are demonstrating or doing something. Try not to have long periods of silence. Illustrated talks. An illustrated talk is a way to share information with the audience. The topic should be educational in nature, but it can be very basic. No finished product is necessary, but visual aids must be used to help explain what is being said. Visual aids can include posters, slides, transparencies, models, or actual items. Examples of illustrated talks are evolution of horse using the picture of the various stages, nutritional requirements using charts and graphs, milking parlor requirements using a scale model, items in a first aid kit using samples of the items, tree identification using leaf needle samples, public speeches. A public speech is just talking. No visual aids or props can be used. A speech can be informative or persuasive with the purpose to stimulate thought or present a point of view. Speeches should not simply entertain. They need to persuade the audience to agree with you, educate the audience, or get an emotional reaction from the audience. Speeches often have a personal tie-in, a way the topic relates to something that happened in your life. A speech may be the most difficult type of presentation. It requires careful planning and effective delivery. Team presentations, demonstrations, and illustrated talks may be done as an individual or team. Public speaking and impromptu speeches are for individuals only. A team usually consists of two members of the same age divisions. Team presentations are good when 4 hands are needed to demonstrate something or when it is hard to do the work and talk at the same time. First-time presenters often like to work as a team because they do not have to be in front of an audience by themselves. It can be comforting to have a friend up there with you. When giving a team presentation, there needs to be a balance between two team members. Both should talk equal amounts and or demonstrate equal amounts. We should rotate between the speakers frequently without making it choppy. Shifts in speakers should seem natural. Do not change speakers in the middle of a thought or a process. Let us now discuss the style of presentation. By this point, the speaker has done two essential things to give shape to the presentation. He or she is aware of the purpose of presentation and audience's needs. These will guide him or her in gathering and systematically arranging the information to be presented. The speaker should structure and design the delivery to be effective with the goal that the audience will ultimately accept his or her ideas. Considerable thought should be given to how to start the presentation, what should be said first. This does not refer to how to greet the audience but rather to what main point the speaker should begin with. The normal order of exposition is to first list the main ideas and then elaborate on each of them. This is the pattern that all written reports follow too. The sequence and timing of each part in a 30-minute presentation should be introduction for 3 minutes, main body 15 minutes, conclusion 2 minutes, question answer session 10 minutes. The presentation should be designed in such a way that it is logical, clear, and complete in the 30 minutes allotted to it. Introduction. The introduction indicates the main idea of the presentation. It does only that without giving details of what is to follow. This helps the audience know the subject and the focus of the presentation. This background provides the launching pad for more detailed information which is covered in the main body of the presentation. Main body. The main part of the presentation is devoted to informing the audience about the advantages of the proposal. This section would include finding of a survey and analysis of the data. This section of the presentation should generally be divided into subsections. As a general rule, the speaker should avoid having more than 3 subsections under the main point. Generally, a presenter is delivered in an analytical and logical manner. The introduction leads to the main content, which in turn leads to the conclusion and recommendations. To integrate these parts into a continuous whole, there should be proper transitions from one section to the next and from one stage to another. The speaker should summarize what has been said in the previous section or stage before explaining how the next point is related. Now, conclusion. The conclusion summarizes the speaker's main argument and connects them to the objectives stated in the introduction and the larger picture. To end the presentation, the speaker should do the followings. Repeat the main idea of the presentation. Restate the most important points with supporting information. Thank the audience and invite question. Question-answer session. This is an important opportunity for audience interaction. The speaker should encourage questions and answer each question seriously and with honesty. The speaker should not try to bluff if he or she does not know the answer to a question. It is best to be frank and admit this. We shall now discuss the body language. When you are on the dais, it is your body that speaks the first. So, be careful about your body signals as an inherent quality art of public speaking requires its own body language. A born speaker may have good body signals as an inherent quality, but it can always be developed by practice. Get on the dais with a positive, relaxed mindset. Keep the following guidelines in mind while giving a presentation. Your body language should match the nature of your subject. It can be motivating, sober, aggressive, mild or humorous. A clever speaker may use a lot of variation in his or her body languages many times during the single presentation. Stand with your legs a little apart, distributing your body weight equally on both the legs. Do not stand behind a lectern continuously as it may indicate lack of confidence or fear of facing the audience. Do not deliver your presentation with wooden expressions. Expressions should be cheerful and you should vary them as per the situation. Do not give blank expressions or be lost in your thought. Maintain continuous eye contact with the listeners to create a positive impact and to get proper feedback from them. Use relevant gestures. Be careful if you have any habitual gesticulations, for example, shrugging your shoulders, opening your arms, etc. Avoid irritating mannerisms such as waving a finger, shaking a fist, fiddling with something like a book, papers and pen kept on the lectern or your clothing. The vocabulary of body language. Body language, unlike spoken language, is inexact, so you have to be careful about how you interpret it. A certain movement or facial expression may be quite meaningful, or it may mean nothing at all. As a starting point, the following sections provide you with some common body language terms and their generally accepted meanings. Positive body language. Positive body language is generally quite reliable as an indicator of a person's feelings. It signals interest in the other person and in the conversation. Relaxed postures. Comfortably seated, relaxed breathing, no visible stiffness or abrupt movements. Arms relaxed. Uncrossed arms and hands open, palms up or otherwise visible to the other person are signs of openness. Good eye contact. Looking in the other person's eye, particularly when they are speaking, indicates interest in that person. Nodding agreement. When nods are used to punctuate key things the other person has said, this signals agreement, interest and understanding. Taking notes. Shows interest and involvement, particularly if notes are on what the other person is saying. Smiling or adding humor. This is a very positive sign. It signals a warm personal relationship. Leaning closer. Reducing the distance between two people, particularly when the other person is speaking. Gesturing warmly. Talking with hands, particularly with palms open, indicates involvement in the conversation and openness to the other person. Negative body language. Negative body language is somewhat less reliable as an indicator of the person's comfort with the current conversation than positive body language. Body tense stiffness, wrinkled brow, jerky body motion, and hands clasped in front or palms down on the table. Arms folded in front creates a barrier which can express a resistance to what is being said. Hands on face. A hand over one's mouth is a closed gesture. Leaning on one's elbow with the chin in the hand can communicate boredom. Fidgeting. Moving around a lot, playing with things, and drumming fingers are usually a sign of boredom, nervousness, or impatience. Arms behind head leaning back. In a well-established relationship, this can be a relaxed gesture. In a new relationship, it is often used to express a desire for control or power. Yawning, boredom, confusion. The other person is talking too much or in too much technical detail. Impatience, trying to interrupt what the other person is saying, opening one's mouth frequently as if to speak. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Planning the presentation involves much of the work that you are going to do before you actually deliver the presentation. Make sure the body of your speech consists of the strongest examples and stories that prove your central argument. Also make sure that you are not taking any leaps of logic as you try to prove your point. A speech may be the most difficult type of presentation. It requires careful planning and effective delivery. The preparation for the job interview must begin with self-assessment, that is, about your skills, talents, abilities, strengths, weaknesses, interests, re-examine accomplishment and achievements. An illustrated talk is a way to share information with the audience.